Hello and welcome back to A Splash of Paint, where it's time for us to rejoin popular SAA artist Keith Fenwick as he adds the final finishing touches to today's acrylic mountain adventure.
Well, you saw me get to this stage in the painting before the break. We're going to finish it off now. I need a bit more blue in here. Get rid of those brush strokes because the brush was too wet. So I'm just filling this in a bit. Bit more blue, bit of Payne's grey, bit darker colour in there. The secret is getting the right moisture in the brush. Not difficult, but it takes a bit of time. Right, I want a bit of blue over here. So the top of the snow-capped mountain will stand out. Just a little bit of water on the end of that brush. Not a lot. Right, I'm going to build up now the peak. I'm going to come to a smaller brush. Want a bit of blue, a bit of Payne's grey, and a bit of white. I'm going to just do a dot dash, just to show where the ridge is. It's going away on the other side there. Just building it up bit by bit. Now I need to go back to some white, go to a smaller rigger, and we'll just refine that, soften these edges I put on. The amount of water you put in your brush really depends on how many hairs there are in your brush. This is a rigger, so I need the paint to be a bit wetter. Just doing quick strokes, just touching across the peaks of the canvas. Just build a bit of soft bits over here. It's a good idea to stand back and have a look. I want to break that down a bit. Right, let's start on this lot over here. Come to a 3/4 flat brush. put some raw cyan and white. That. Using raw cyan and white. I'll need to build these up, but just having a good wiggle. Sweeping the snow up there like that. Do something on this side. Just going to soften this area here. Picking out a few highlights on peaks. All right, we need some snow in here, some where the snow's on the ridge. While I've got time, I'm going to put in two hard-working little men. All you do is paint the shape of a lemon, but they'll be leaning forward because they're walking up a hill. I have another one here. We'll have one up here. Rinse the brush using a bit of Payne's grey, and we'll give them legs on, otherwise they'll fall down. Little dot for a head. Backpack on. Just going to work around this, put a bit of shadow under this snow area. Just a little detail that makes a difference. Just working around here, giving it a bit of shadow underneath. Just going to just put a little few bits on the peaks here just to break it up. Just to break up this continuous white line. Just a couple of bits over there. I think that will suffice for this quick sketch. Because that's all the other sketches. Proper painting will take me 2 to 4 hours. And then I'll look at it for a couple of weeks. I'll go back and make a few changes. And there we are. There's our completed painting. Hope you enjoyed watching me do that and you learned something from the techniques that I've shown you.
Lovely acrylic landscape project there. Thanks, Keith, for that. Remember, for more artistic advice or news on the latest offers and discounts available on all your favourite art materials, visit the Home Shop section of the SAA website and discover a colourful world of artistic inspiration. Okay, it's time to talk cauliflowers. No, not the versatile vegetable variety, but those unfortunate accidents that sometimes occur when painting. Let's join leading SAA artist Jeremy Ford and his top tips for correcting these blooming mishaps in today's practical art by exercise.
How many times does this happen? You're painting in watercolor and you want a nice even surface, might be a sky or something, and you're trying to get it as smooth and evenly as possible, and then you either drop some water on it or you keep working in it and you end up with these cauliflowers or runbacks or blooming. What do you do about it? Well, the main thing to do, I think, is to, as soon as you do it, as soon as you notice it, stop. Let it dry. You can either let it dry naturally or you can use a hairdryer on it so that all of it's dry. And then you get a sponge. I usually use a big car sponge because it's just quicker, and the big sink, but for the benefit of the studio, we'll just use this little sponge here. You get the sponge as wet as you can, get it absolutely sopping wet, don't squeeze it out. Make sure your picture's dry, get it really, really wet, and you just go over it. And it should smooth out. Now, if you do this in a sink, obviously you won't have all this mess. And you just go over it like that. On most papers, it will come out. It does depend on some of the papers. Some other papers are less forgiving, but this is Bockingford and it releases the paint quite well. And then while it's wet, then you could either let it dry and go over it again, or while it's wet, you could just go over it again. So if I get some more of my colour, that was tropical phthalo blue, just go over that again, and with a bit of luck, nobody will know other than you and me. So we get that nice and even. But the important thing is to let it dry. You know, when that happens, cauliflowers or blooming happen because the paint that you're putting on is a lot wetter than the paint that's already on your picture. And as soon as the water or the watery paint hits the drying paint, it causes a sort of a high tide mark, the cauliflower. And so you need to let it dry. If you try and sponge it, whilst some of it's wet and some of it's damp and some of it's dry, you can end up with the worst situation. So I always let it dry completely and just go over it again. And that's not too bad. I could probably improve on that if I go over it again with my damp brush. But as long as there's a shine on your paper, then it's okay to go over it again. But that should dry perfectly evenly. So next time you do a cauliflower, hopefully you won't do one, but if you do, you know just what to do.
Blooming marvellous, thanks for that, Jeremy. And remember, if a mistake is made in watercolour, then stop and ask yourself, can it be repaired? Assess the damage, see if the hard edges can be removed and blended in using Jeremy's simple solution, or investigate other practical products like the Magic SAA sponge eraser. It's worth bearing in mind that sometimes these happy accidents can be turned into clouds, flowers, trees, seed heads and foliage, or simply be used to add interesting texture to larger areas. Well, folks, time for our final break, but join us in part 4 when popular SAA artist Louise Bogart demonstrates how to paint a winter tree in watercolours. I'll be answering another question from the Splashy Paint post bag. See you soon.